Hey y'all, thanks for visiting my video. Holy Stitch, I'm Sam and I crochet. Before I get started, if you like what I do over here, please do me a few free favors. Subscribe to this channel where I talk all things crochet. Like this video, I said it was free. And if you're a great friend, you'll get someone else hooked. So share this video. Now let's get into it. This is a crochet one-on-one, all the fundamentals for beginners. I recently learned to crochet and I'm hooked, but there were a few basics I wish I knew from the beginning, so I'm here to help somebody. And since I still consider myself a beginner, drop in the comments below some crochet tips for me. I'd appreciate it. But in this video, I'll go over a few basic topics, starting with different yarn types and hooks, the essentials needed to crochet. I'll show y'all the crochet kit I use and also recommend. Then we'll hit on how to hold your hook and yarn, the foundation chain. We'll work on a few basic stitches. Then we'll go over the anatomy of the stitch. We'll end our work, secure, and weave in our tails. Basically, by the end of this video, you should be able to crochet a few simple rows, and it really only gets better from there. Let's go over different yarn types. First, we have acrylic yarn. Acrylic yarn is a common go-to for a lot of projects. It's just a very easy and versatile material to work with. I would recommend a 100% acrylic medium weight yarn for beginners. Let me show you what a 100% acrylic lightweight looks like compared to the medium weight. The bottom yarn is the lightweight acrylic, and as you can see, it's not as bulky as the medium weight acrylic. Now let's move over to wool. For me, this is my favorite material for craft crochet projects. This 100% wool, it's a super fine weight. This is a cotton yarn. It's 100% cotton. It's a medium weight. I definitely would not try to make like any blankets or anything like that with this yarn, but it is fun to work with. Next is a 100% polyester. It's a bulky weight yarn. I have completely fallen in love with this yarn. I've made so many throws and blankets with this. Oh, so much fun. Lastly, I want to show you guys this 70/30 acrylic polyester yarn. This is a super fine weight. I'm still perfecting my crochet craft, and this hasn't been easy for me to work with, so it's kind of tucked away for the moment. Aside from the yarn, the crochet hook is the most important tool you'll need to crochet. So it's very important to get a hook that's both easy to work with and comfortable. These rubber handle hooks have become my favorite go-to hooks to work with. In my opinion, a basic metal crochet hook is the most common. My first crochet hook was a 4mm metal hook. A metal hook will always get the job done. So did I tell y'all I'm slightly obsessed with crocheting, and these light up crochet hooks are amazing. These last two hooks are both 15mm. I got them both to work with some super bulky yarn. The plastic hook, great, love it. The wooden hook, not so much. It's not properly finished and it snags on the yarn, so I decided to keep it because it's a nice looking hook, but I'm not going to use it. This is my very first crochet hook. It's that 4mm metal crochet hook I was telling y'all about. It's nothing spectacular, but I was able to complete 2 very large crochet projects with it before I was gifted this amazing crochet kit. This is the crochet kit that I use, and I would recommend this crochet kit not just to beginners, but to anyone who crochets. Those amazing rubber handle crochet hooks came in this crochet kit. You also get a pair of snipping scissors, lace crochet hooks, bow-shaped needles, U-shaped plastic needles, and a gauge ruler. On the other side, it does come with aluminum hooks. I've added some personal hooks. It comes with a lot, but not this many. And in this little compartment here, you get some locking stitch markers, ring stitch markers, 2 row counters, a thimble, and a seam ripper. And lastly, you get 2 sweater pins or project pins. I use them to pin together any portions of my project, a measuring tape, as well as darting needles. And that's it, y'all. This is the crochet kit that I use. I would recommend this crochet kit, not just for beginners, but any crochet skill level will benefit from this kit. I'll link it in the description box if you're interested in this exact one. Now let's get into how to hold your hook. I don't really think there's a right or wrong way to hold your crochet hook. Just remember that when you're crocheting, the hook is supposed to face you. A lot of people hold their hook like they're holding a pencil, but that's not really comfortable to me. I personally hold my hook like I'm holding a knife, getting ready to cut into a nice, ripe, juicy peach. Once you're comfortable with holding your hook, you'll also want to make sure you're comfortable with holding your yarn. This was the hardest part for me to control for some reason, but once you start crocheting regularly, you really won't think about it. You'll just adjust to what's comfortable for you. And just remember, tension is important when crocheting. I'm able to control the tension and the slip a lot easier when I hold my yarn this way, and depending upon the yarn and the grip that I have, I'll adjust if I need to. Now let's work a foundation chain. Mostly all projects start with a foundation chain or a magic ring. But before we start that, we do need to make a slip knot. So let's work on making a slip knot. Let's grab our yarn and we're gonna wrap it around our index and our middle finger. Make sure they intersect in the front and hold your thumb right over where they cross. Now remove your middle finger from the loop, pull the short tail through the loop just a little bit and pull on the longer piece until a knot forms. You can adjust the size of the loop by pulling on the tail. Just remember to make sure your tail is at least 3 to 4 inches so that you can weave it in at the end of your project. Now go ahead and slip your crochet hook through that loop. And we refer to this longer piece of yarn as our working yarn, and the shorter piece, of course, is our tail. So let's get ready to work our foundation chain, guys. So now that we know how to hold our hook and yarn and we can make a slip knot, let's actually start crocheting. Again, this is how I hold my yarn. This is what I find is most comfortable for me. Feel free to copy me if you like, or hold your yarn in a way that is most comfortable for you. Let me quickly explain 2 phrases that you're going to continuously hear. The first phrase is yarn over. The second phrase is pull through. So yarn over basically means you are going to take your crochet hook, reach over, grab the yarn, and then you are going to pull it through the loop. And that is going to be one complete stitch. So you'll hear yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So let's yarn over, pull through, 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 yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do this for 15 complete stitches. Now that I've completed my last stitch, let's take a look at the foundation chain. If you notice, each stitch looks like the letter V. 2 letters to remember in crochet, the letter V and the letter P. I'll touch on the second letter later. The back of the chain also has loops or camel humps. Depending upon the project, I'll build on using the back loops instead of the top loops. We're going to use the top loops in this video. Now is where it starts to get really exciting and interesting. We're going to learn a few common stitches: single crochet, half double crochet, a double crochet, and a triple or treble crochet. I'm using US terms, but here's a small chart of the UK terminology. Also, each stitch corresponds with a chain count. A single crochet is 1, half double crochet is 2, a double crochet is 3, and a triple crochet is 4. These chain counts will start to make sense a little later, but I've included an illustration I found that portrays the chain count of each stitch. So let's learn to single crochet, guys. Let's go ahead and grab that foundation chain. This foundation chain only has 10 stitches, but this is the 10th stitch. And remember I said the single crochet corresponds to 1. So we're actually going to add 1 stitch to this chain. So technically it's going to be a chain of 11. So we've added the additional chain, and now we're going to crochet into the top of each of these stitches, so each of the V's. So we're going to take our crochet hook and we're going to skip the first stitch and we're going to crochet into the second stitch. So we're going to insert our hook, we're going to yarn over, we're going to pull our yarn through that stitch, and see how we have 2 hoops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, and now we're going to pull the yarn through both of the hoops, and that is a single crochet. I'm just going to place this stitch marker here so that we can come back and count our stitches. So again, we're going to insert our hook here, we're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do this throughout the rest of this chain, and I'll meet you guys at the end. So I made it to the end, and this is my very last stitch, and basically this is how you do a single crochet, guys. Let me turn this so you guys can see what it looks like, and then we'll count the stitches. I should still have 10 even though I added the additional 1. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We have all 10 of our stitches, and look at how beautiful those V's look at the top. And that's basically it. That's a single crochet stitch. Moving right along to the half double crochet, let's go ahead and grab our foundation chain. And remember I said the half double crochet corresponds with the chain 2, so let's go ahead and chain 2. I'm going to add a new phrase here, and that's wrap the yarn. And basically we're just going to wrap the yarn around the hook. Now we're going to skip the first 2 stitches and we're going to crochet into the top of the 3rd stitch. Let's insert our hook, we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through. Now notice there's now 3 loops on our hook. So let's yarn over, and we're going to pull through all 3 of those loops. And that's our first half double crochet, guys. So I'm just going to place another stitch marker here because we're going to come back and count these stitches once we get to the end of this chain. So again, I am going to just readjust my yarn, but I'm going to wrap the yarn. We're going to insert it into that next stitch. We're going to pull through, wrap the yarn, we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through all 3. Again, wrap the yarn, pull through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do this throughout the remainder of this chain, and again I'm going to meet you guys at the end. Here I am at the end again. I'm just going to work this last stitch with you guys, pull through these 3 loops. All right, that's it. We've just finished our first row of half double crochet. And I'm just going to double check and count my stitches to make sure I have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now let's learn to double crochet. Go ahead and grab your foundation chain. Again, I've got 10 stitches. This is the 10th stitch, and a double crochet corresponds to a chain 3. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. And just like we did with the half double crochet, I'm going to wrap the yarn around the hook. This time we're going to skip the first 3 stitches and insert our hook into that 4th stitch. Now yarn over and pull through. It's starting to look a little bit like deja vu. I know. Again, we've got 3 loops on our hook, but let's go ahead and yarn over, and we're only going to pull through the first 2 loops. Now we're left with 2 loops on our hook. Now let's yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that right there is a double crochet. Let's do it again. Let's wrap our yarn, insert our hook. Let's yarn over and pull through. We're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. One more time before I meet you guys at the end. Let's wrap our yarn. We're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. All right, I'll meet you guys at the end. Alrighty, so I made it to the end again. I'm going to complete this last stitch. We're going to yarn over, pull through these first 2, yarn over, and the last. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to verify, make sure I've still got all 10 of my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, guys. I got a little caught up there in the middle. Forgot how to count for a minute. Now let's work on adding even more rows. I've placed a stitch marker in this last stitch, and you'll see why here in just a sec. Remember, a double crochet corresponds to a chain 3, so I'm just going to go ahead and chain 3, and then I'm going to turn my work. This is the start of the next row, and right where I place that stitch marker, that's where my first double crochet is going to go for this row. So let's go ahead and wrap our yarn and insert our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through. Now yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Let's do one more. Let's wrap our yarn. We're going to insert our hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through the last 2. Do this all the way across and meet me at the end. I'm so excited to see how your double crochet stitches turn out. All right, I'm approaching the end of this row. This is my last stitch. There you have it. I've completed 2 rows of double crochet stitches, and this is what it looks like. Obviously, if you want to continue to add rows, just chain 3, turn your work until you're happy with what you've done. Also, if you don't have stitch markers, don't worry. You can use scrap pieces of yarn. Just weave it through the one stitch you're wanting to mark. Bobby pins and safety pins will also get the job done. The last stitch that we're going to learn today is the triple or treble crochet. Go ahead and get your foundation chain. A triple crochet corresponds to a chain 4, and it has a similar concept to the half double and the double crochet with wrapping the yarn. But this time we're going to wrap the yarn around the hook twice, and we're going to skip the first 4 stitches and insert our hook into that 5th stitch. So go ahead and yarn over and pull the yarn through. This time we have 4 loops on our yarn. Yarn over and only pull through the first 2 loops. That leaves us with 3 loops on our hook. Now yarn over and pull through the next 2, Now we've got 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that's it. That is a triple crochet. All right, so now I'm just gonna place my stitch marker, but we do yarn over and pull through 2 loops, a total of 3 times, hence why it's a triple or a treble crochet. Now let's wrap our yarn twice. Go ahead and insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over and pull through. Now let's yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2, yarn over, and let's pull through the last 2 loops. Let's do this one more time together, then I'm gonna meet you guys at the end. Let's wrap the yarn twice. Let's insert our hook and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, I'm gonna meet you guys at the end of this row. Now let's work on adding even more rows, just like we did with the double crochet. It's the same exact concept, but because we're working with the triple crochet this time, we're gonna chain 4, we're still gonna turn our work, and right where I placed that stitch marker, that's still gonna be where our first stitch goes. So let's wrap our yarn twice, and we're gonna insert our hook, and we're gonna yarn over and pull through. Let's yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. And we're gonna do this all the way across this row, and I'm gonna meet y'all at the end, okay? All right, I'm approaching the end of this row. I'm finishing up my very last triple crochet stitch, and there you have it. I have completed a second row of triple crochet stitches, and this is what it looks like. Obviously, if you want to continue to add stitches, you're just going to chain 4, turn your work until you're happy with what you've done. Now that we've got a few stitches under our belt, let's try to understand a little better. Remember I mentioned there's 2 letters to remember in crochet, the letter V and the letter P? Well, here's the letter P. An easy way to remember that is that P is for post. This is what's going to make the hump of the P. So that stitch belongs to the straight line of the P. You also have what's called the back stitch. Depending upon the type of project that you're working on, you may have to crochet into the back stitch, or you may have to crochet into the front stitch. Crocheting into either one of those is going to give you a different look. And lastly, we want to make sure that we are protecting all of the hard work that we just did. So we are going to secure and weave in our tail. So once you get to the end of your project, the easiest way to secure is with a slip knot. So I'm just going to create a slip knot here. Make sure I pull on it and it's nice and secure. And this is where our darting needles come in handy. I'm going to go ahead and grab a darting needle. I'm going to weave that tail end to my darting needle, and I am going to weave the tail in through the stitches. I'm going to go in 3 separate directions, or 3 different directions. That way it doesn't come out over the course of time or in the washer or the dryer. So that's it. There you have it, guys. My guide to crochet for beginners. Thanks again for joining me in my very first video. Did you learn something new, or maybe a new interest is sparked? If you have any tips for me, drop them in the comments below, because of course I'm still learning myself. And finally, please help me build my little crochet community by liking, sharing, commenting, and obviously subscribe to this channel. I hope you enjoyed my hook and yarn. Until next time, bye y'all.